Being in ketosis and being fat adapted are two different things, and today I'm going to give you a breakdown on the differences between the two and the fat adaptation process, and we are starting right now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and if you're new here and you want to see more content that revolves around keto, intermittent fasting, and some other miscellaneous health topics, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you don't miss anything I put out on the weekly basis. So, ketosis simply means that you have elevated levels of ketones present in your blood. Now, you could go and consume 8 ounces of, say, olive oil and be in ketosis. Just because you're eating higher amounts of fat doesn't mean it's going to have benefits right away. A good analogy to use for this would be if you're taking an engine and rebuilding it to use another type of fuel that it doesn't currently run on. It takes time for it to be rebuilt. As you expose your body to more fats and less sugar over time, using either something like a keto diet or a carnivore diet, it's going to become more adapted and more efficient at running off of fats for fuel. During this transition, make sure that you take it slow. You want to spend about 4 to 5 weeks making this switch. You don't want to just run straight into it. Gradually increase your fat intake and lower your carb intake over that time. If you don't take things slowly, you can experience things like the keto flu and the keto rash. And I personally experienced the keto flu when I first started doing this, and it is no fun. You're real weak, lethargic. You just don't feel like doing anything but just sitting back on the bed and relaxing. Now, the keto rash, I didn't experience that, but I do have a video that I did on the keto rash and breaking down what actually might be behind it. So if you want to check that out, I'll have it up here, and I'll also have it in the description. Making this switch is really no different from trying to quit smoking. Most people don't do it cold turkey. They make the switch slowly over time. As you expose your cells to more and more ketones, the cells that can use ketones will begin to downregulate the enzymatic pathways that use sugar as a fuel source and upregulate the pathways that use fat as a fuel source. But of course, that takes time to happen, but that is fat adaptation. The way that you can measure this transition is by having your fasted insulin levels checked, which is something that your doctor can do for you. Your body uses insulin resistance as a way to keep your cells from being flooded with sugar. So as that number comes down, it's at that point that you know that your cells are beginning to use fat for fuel rather than sugar. Now, it doesn't matter if the fat is coming from what you're eating or your own fat, but if you're trying to lose weight, you obviously want it to come from your own fat. The most important thing to do to get that insulin resistance down and become more insulin sensitive is not consuming carbs or sugar. Now, at first you have to consume higher levels of fat because you want to maintain ketosis. But because you're still so insulin resistant when you're first starting, that fat struggles to be broken down. That's why a lot of people that start doing keto can experience a lot of sluggishness, low energy, because if it ain't coming from the keto flu, it's because insulin blocks the mobilization of fat. So as your insulin levels come down, you will be able to use fat more readily because the cells won't be trying to protect themselves from that overwhelming amount of sugar. Upon this happening, your fat cells are going to be able to release fat a lot more easily. So if you're interested in weight loss, what you want to do at this point is start backing off your fat intake a little bit until you get to the weight that you want to be, and at that point you can start increasing the fats again when you don't have a lot of fat left to give. So at the beginning, higher fat, in the middle, back it off a little bit, and at the end, raise it back up once again to prevent further weight loss. Since most people are interested in doing this for the weight loss, that's how you accelerate weight loss utilizing the fat adaptation process. So how long is this going to take? Well, that depends on the person and how strict they are with it. But generally, you're looking at anywhere between 3 to 6 months to get fully fat adapted. Now keep in mind what I just said, that's fully fat adapted. That doesn't mean that you're not going to lose some weight before that time period comes up and begin having a lot of benefits, because you will. It's just really hard to get concrete evidence on this because a lot of the studies on high fat and low carb diets generally don't last that long. A study that I looked at recently, for example, took a look at people on a high fat diet and people on a low fat diet, but the study only lasted 2 weeks. That's like having a fart, not a bowel movement. It may have gave some useful data, but it's just not in line with what we're really trying to do here. A new way of life and a new lifestyle is what we're trying to do here. Fat adapted ketosis. It takes time and consistency, but the best thing you can do to look at this is take what you're doing and take the word diet off the end of it and treat what you're doing as an addiction model where you're making binary changes, ketones over glucose. Please share this with somebody that could really use this information and needs to hear it. And if you got some good value out of it, make sure to leave a like on it. Keep it keto, keep it healthy, and I will see y'all in the next video.